Lesson 22, analyzing discrete and continuous functions. A continuous function is a function with a graph that has no gaps, jumps, or asymptotes. So the graph of a continuous function has no gaps, jumps, or asymptotes. Basically, a continuous function can be drawn without lifting your pencil. So an example would be maybe a straight line, or it might be a parabola. Those would be continuous. Now a discontinuous function is any graph, or the graph of the function, that has gaps, jumps, or asymptotes. So you would not be able to draw it without lifting up your pencil. Let me spell this. Let's see. Oh, there's a P in there. I didn't put one up here. Go back up here and put a T in this word. There we go. There is a specific type of discontinuous function that's called a discrete function. So we're going to put down and say type of discontinuous function. And it is made up of separate, disconnected points. So, just a plain old discontinuous function may look like this. So it might have an asymptote, and then maybe a curve that won't ever touch those asymptotes. This is a discontinuous function. A step function would be considered discontinuous. If you have a line that has an open space, and maybe that dot is up here for that number, this would be a discontinuous function, and this particular point, we'll call it A, is called the point of discontinuity. I want to show you a couple of examples of a discrete function. Again, all of these are functions, so they have to pass the vertical line test, or they will pass the vertical line test. So this would be considered a discrete function if you just had dots, separate points, and yes, they do have to pass the vertical line test, so they cannot, every x has to have only one y value, not more than 1. You could have the same y value for different x's, but each x has its own y value. Here's another example of a discrete function. So even though they are lining up, you still have to pick up your pen every time you draw, and you have disconnected points. All of these type of functions will have a domain and a range. The domain is the x values, and the range are the y values. Sometimes there are restrictions on either just based on the function itself. So if you plugged in an x and it made the function undefined, then those particular points would not be within the domain. And the range is the y values. And we are going to do the lesson practice, so you can get some practice on these discrete and continuous functions. That's the end of our lesson.